What is up, guys? This is Linthio coming at you with a deck profile that I actually didn't intend to do, but I've kind of just stumbled across all of the cards that I actually needed for the build that I was testing a long time ago, and here it is. So this is the Yosenju deck profile now. I know a lot of people might have been asking me about this because I originally picked up the cards a long time ago and kind of just never really played it because I just didn't really have the time to test it as much as I wanted to, and also didn't have a couple of cards, but now I do. So this is my build. So to start it off, we have, obviously, we're playing Yosenju, so we play Karma 1. Karma 1 is obviously the one that we all know that can bounce something on the field. Then we play 3 Karma 2 and 3 Karma 3. Don't really need to say too much about this, even though it's a new deck profile. These are kind of standard. Anyone who knows anything about Yosenju or has played them at all know that you run these. These are the main core decks, main core cards, sorry, that you really use, and there's no other two ways about it. So running all these are really fun because they all obviously interact with each other. They all can summon each other, and depending on what they do, or depending on how you attack and so on and so forth, it really works out well. So they're actually quite fun. They're basically the replacement for Hunters, if I'm completely honest, and we all know how much I love Hunters. Then we have 2 of the Pendulum L. Now, some people might not run this. I do, just because I like the fact that it can protect my Yosenju monsters, and it's just another Yosenju card and name for secret move. So this is here because obviously, as I said, it protects my own monsters, but it's also it protects multiple monsters. So it's actually quite nice and works well in that essence. Then we have Cirque. Obviously, you run 2 of these, in my opinion. 3 gets a little bit cloggy for me, but given the extra attack boost is just very useful. And it's the only one that doesn't actually return to your hand at the end phase. And then finally, the final monster is 1 Thunder King Ryo. This is an anti-meta based deck. There's a couple of floodgates and everything like that here, so this is why I run Thunder King, and it's just in general a good card, especially if you go Thunder King set 4 against most decks first turn. Next up, Pot of Duality. We don't really need to special summon all that much, and we can happily just, sit behind our monsters, poking directly, so on and so forth. And Pot of Duality allows us to get to our certain cards and gives us a little bit of options. So, Pot of Duality, great card in the deck. Then we have 3 Tenki. Tenki is one that is kind of no surprise, I'm sure, to people, simply because we all know that they're all Beast Warriors, and the only non-Beast Warrior stuff is the Pendulum and Thunder King. So, Tenki searches a lot of cards in this deck. Again, really, shouldn't need much explanation, to be honest. I've got 3 main MST, and this is because I just don't want to run into any weird floodgates. Like Mistake can hurt this deck a little bit, and other different things like that. And I just want to make sure that anything that's coming up against me, I want to be able to have an answer to. And if complete worst case, I'm playing a deck that doesn't really have back row, then these are just great 3 targets for siding out in a tournament. Then 1 D-Fissure. D-Fissure's happy. Cards will go back to my hand, and even if I exceed, they go to the grave. It doesn't really matter because obviously with D-Fissure, monsters have to be banished, and XYZ targets don't. Blah 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 blah. We all know the rulings on that. So 1 D-Fissure is great, and it also really hurts the meta. And then the final spell is 1 Raigeki. So that is it for all the spells. Now the traps is where it's at. We have not 1, not 2, but 3 Mirror Force. This should make a lot of sense because we don't really have that much defense in the form of monsters. Sorry, I don't know why the camera keeps shaking. And Mirror Force is just a great answer for that problem that we have. So Mirror Force at 3 is just kind of a no-brainer in my opinion because we want to be able to protect our life points. 3 Lose a Turn. Now this is one of the cards that I actually just picked up in my travels, which made the deck possible to profile. Lose 1 turn is absolutely incredible in this deck. Now some people do run 2, but I like running 3 simply because it really hurts and slows down the meta that you play against, and it means that you can capitalize on the lack of speed that those monsters may have. And stopping like ignition effects when people are summoned and such like that is a really strong thing. So Lose 1 turn is an absolutely great card, and I haven't looked back with having 3 in, if I'm completely honest, when I was testing. 3 Yosenju secret move. This, again, is a staple at 3 in my opinion. Spell Trap, Monster Effect activates. You just negate it and you have to have at least one Yosenju card. It's just a really solid card. Obviously, it doesn't work with a Thunder King up, but if I'm completely honest, that's one card that isn't really going to stop you all that often. So, Secret Yosenju move is an absolutely incredible card for this deck. Then we have 2 Deep Prison. Just the 2, because that's how I roll. Again, same concept as having Mirror Force in the deck. Want to protect our life points, and Deep Prison helps with some slightly more problem monsters like Dante's and Constructs and some things like that. 1 Torrential Tribute, because if they're going to be summoning in their turn, I'm not really going to be affected by it all that much. So 1 TT is a great card. 1 Vanity's Emptiness, because it works perfectly in this deck, if I'm completely honest. 1 Macrocosmos, because, as I said, we don't really need to send stuff to our grave because our monsters return to the hand, and Macrocosmos really hurts the meta in a lot of ways, so great card. Same philosophy as Defissure, and then finally the 1 Bottomless Trap Hole. I was kind of umming and ahhing over if I wanted to play Bottomless or if I wanted to play Compulsory. And I think I'm just going to keep going back and forth. It's down to how people feel, or I can replace this for a Book of Moon. It just completely depends on how I feel a matchup's going to be or a tournament's going to be when I bring it. So 40 card main deck. Going into the extra deck, we have 1 Pallades, which you'll see, or the rank 5s, which you'll see here. I'll do them now because of Pantelemos. But, so Pallades obviously is a very good one because bouncing cards in your opponent's turn is a very strong effect. Chidoris is just a big problem monster that a lot of people can really struggle to get over for a few turns. And it helps buy you some time as well, and popping cards is always good. And then Diamond, because there's matchups against like Shadow, Burning Abyss, so on and so forth, is really good. And the monster that can summon them all. So, as I said, we can summon 3 monsters easy, which means that we can go straight into, one of the rank 5s. And in main phase 2, I can just simply overlay for Diamond. 2 Lightning Chidori. We have all wins, apart from like Thunder King, for example. And Chidori is just a great card in the deck because it just means that, you can start spinning and plussing off your opponent. And, yeah, just in general, absolutely solid cards. It helps get rid of a lot of problem cards. The 1 Silent Honor Arc, these should be pretty standard rank 4s that you should know. Daigusto Emerald, just in case you want to loop anything back in. The 1 Exciton Knight, in case we're just going for a bit of a crazy play. Crazy Box, in case we get skill drained, anything like that. The 1 Gaga Cowboy to shoot for game. The 1 Cargon, because just in case we want to change stuff up. The Castel. The Dark Rebellion, and then finally the Masquerade for the rank, for the 3 of 4s. Just realised that my Abyss Dweller has mysteriously vanished, so that would also be in here. But that is it, guys. That is the deck profile. I realise it's a bit of a shorter deck profile, considering I normally do longer ones if it's a new deck. But if I'm completely honest, it's kind of a deck that runs itself a little bit. There are a lot of different plays that you can do, and I'm not saying it's an autopilot deck at all. But this is a really fun deck nonetheless. I wouldn't really call it budget though, if I'm completely honest. The reason why I had some trouble getting the cards, or never really did it beforehand, is because I didn't have the Lightning Chidoris, which are pretty pricey. I didn't have the Loose One Turns, which are about 15-20 currently. So there are a lot of different things that I didn't have, so that's why I haven't done it. But there it is. I wouldn't expect another Yosenju deck profile, if I'm completely honest, unless I see some more support. But nevertheless, it's a very fun deck. It's a very, very strong deck as well, and it's actually quite surprising how strong it can be. So that is it, guys. Let me know down in the comment section below what you think of this Yosenju deck profile and the Yosenju archetype itself. Make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I shall catch you guys later.